Good morning. We'll begin our service with the ringing of the temple bell. At this time, please silence your cell phones and listen quietly as the sounding of the kancho is an invitation to settle our hearts and minds as we prepare to receive the Dharma. Thank you.
Namannam, 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 namannam.
Aloha, and thank you all for joining us for today's Hanamasturi service, either in person or virtually via Zoom. According to our tradition, the historical Buddha Shakyamuni was born in Nepal on April 8, 566 BC. He was born the son of King Suddhodana and Queen Maya. There are many flowery descriptions of the scene at his birth, including celestial birds singing beautiful songs, beautiful flowers, and a sweet, gentle rain bathing the baby Buddha. For the service, a flower shrine known as Hanamido, is set up in front of the main altar as a symbol of Lumbini Garden, the garden where the Buddha was born. In his shrine is placed a statuette of the infant Buddha, pointing his right hand toward the heavens and his left hand towards the earth. The Sangha pours sweet tea over the image. Hanamatsuri is a time for us to show our gratitude and rededicate ourselves as we contemplate the importance, the birth of our teacher, master, spiritual guide, and friend, Shakyamuni Buddha. I'm Glenda Yamagata Pasalako, and I'll be serving as your MC. Assisting at the temple with technical support are Zoom crew members, Alan Matsumoto, Joey Guzman, and Lynn Katayama. Corinne Chong is our organist, and Betty Takeoka will lead us in singing. Please rise and let us chant the Vandana and Tisarana. Please chant both the Pali and English parts together with Reverend Blaine. Those of you on Zoom, please be sure to mute your mics.
Namo tassa Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Please remain standing for an aspiration which will be shared by Reverend Blaine.
Please join me in Gasho. We gather on this beautiful day to celebrate the wondrous birth of Siddhartha Gautama, the one who would become the Buddha, the awakened one. We revere him as the great teacher who shared with us the path of universal liberation, spiritual awakening, and peace. We rejoice in the life-giving and life-transforming teachings, having received them over 2,500 years since his birth, as it offers us wise hope for living in our troubled world. Let us endeavor to listen to the Buddha Dharma with not just our ears, but with our entire being, and strive to embody the teachings in all that we do for the welfare and happiness of all. Reflecting on the words of the Kanmokuge, we offer sweet tea, symbolizing the gentle rain, perfumed by flowers that was said to have been fallen in Lumbini Garden on that glorious day. I shall pour sweet tea on the numerous Buddhas. The wonderful virtues and pure wisdom of the Buddhas shall enable all sentient beings to cast off their defilements and be awakened to the absolute mind of the Buddha. Thus I bow in reverence to Shakyamuni Buddha, to the greatest and the noblest among all men. We now pour sweet tea of the greatest virtue and extol the Buddha of absolute purity. May we always take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows us the way in this life, the Dharma, the way of understanding and love, and the Sangha, the community that lives in harmony and awareness. Entrusting in the dynamic activity of all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion, we call the honored name of Amida, the Buddha of infinite light and life, in gratitude, joy, and awareness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Please be seated. Reverend Blaine will now chant the Kanmokuge Sutra and offer sweet tea.
Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda. 간목응에 가곤 간목 쇼뇨라이 조치 쇼곤 그도그즈 고조 그시조 료리그 노쇼뇨라이 조싱 계시 다이쇼 복야본 텐조 텐계료소 그선 가토고니 그도 그스이 간요근요라이 조싱. Namandabutsu, 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 Namandabutsu.
It is now time for the offering of sweet tea by the congregation. We invite all Sangha members in attendance to please come up and offer sweet tea if you wish, starting with the front rows and moving towards the back. Let us observe a moment of silent meditation.
Namanab, 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 namanab.
Reverend Blaine will now lead us in the chanting of Sutra, Hymn in Praise of the Buddha. Words can be found on page 112 in the red Jodo Shinshu service book and on the screen.
The Buddha of infinite light and life made vows to embrace all beings equally without exception. These vows promise to create a perfect world where no suffering or evil exists and guides us to supreme awakening. The Sanbutsuge, or Hymn in Praise of Buddha, is a poem from the larger Pure Land Sutra in which Amida Buddha, as a bodhisattva, praises his teacher and makes his 48 vows to establish the Pure Land of enlightenment for the welfare and happiness of all beings. We chant the words of the Buddha as a reminder of these great vows of compassion made to liberate us all. The Hymn in Praise of Buddha. Your face shines in great, great splendor, boundless, wondrous dignity, such the greatness of your light, beyond all comparison, brightness of the sun and moon, and the shining mani jewels, when compared to your brilliance, seem to us like blackest ink. Tathagata's countenance transcends all comparison. The great voice of awakening resounds through the 10 quarters. Your precepts, learning, effort, meditation, wisdom are virtues beyond all compare, ultimate, supreme, and rare. Your deep meditation has fathomed all the Dharma sea, to the limits and the depths of all things the Buddhas teach. Ignorance wisdom deep and so sublime, your radiant luminous light shakes all the world's foundations. When I become a Buddha, equal to the Dharma King, I will transcend birth and death, liberating all beings. My giving disciplined mind, precepts, patience, and effort, meditation and wisdom shall be supreme, unsurpassed. I will attain Buddhahood, everywhere fulfill my vow, bringing to all those in fear great peace and tranquility. Though there are myriad Buddhas, beyond measure, beyond count, and great sages numberless, like the grains of Ganges sands, I will honor each of them, equally accepting none. Even more importantly, I will seek the supreme way, even though all Buddha worlds are countless as Ganges sands, even though all lands and realms are boundless without measure, yet my light shall reach them all and illumine every place. Such shall be my perfect work, such my power infinite. When I attain Buddhahood, my land will be first and best, place of practice transcendent, its people sublime and rare, land equal to nirvana, beyond all comparison. With pity for everyone, I will carry all across, all who come from 10 quarters to be born into my land, to attain pure joyful mind, peace and great tranquility. Be my witness, Buddha, please. Confirm my sincerity. Now that I have made my vows, I will strive to fulfill them. Buddhas of the 10 quarters, with your wisdom unhindered, may all of these honored ones know my deepest intention, even though my body must bear great pain and suffering. I will persevere and strive patiently without regret. Namo
Please rise for the
Namandab, 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 namandab.
Please rise for singing of the Gatha, Softly Blew the Breezes. Words can be found on page 151 in the Praises of the Buddha and on the screen.
Softly blew the breezes on the glorious morn. In Lumini's garden, where the Lord was born. From the earth sprang flowers, birds in warble sang, while through earth and heaven strains of music rang. Gods and men and angels all for worship came. Glory to Lord Buddha, glory to his name.
You may be seated. Today, we are honored to have as our guest speaker Reverend Kevin Kuniyuki, retired minister of the Hompa Honganji Mission of Hawaii. Reverend Kuniyuki was born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1955 and graduated from Waipahu High School in 1973. He graduated from the University of Hawaii, Manoa in 1977. He was an instructor in the Department of Electrical Engineering at the University of Hawaii, Manoa from 1977 to 1992. Reverend Kuniyuki was also a computer consultant from 1980 to 1994. Additionally, he was an instructor in continuing education and community service at the University of Hawaii at Hilo from 1992 to 1994. Reverend Kuniyuki received his Tokudo ordination from the Nishi Honganji in 1994. He graduated from Chuo Bukkyo Gakuen in 1996 and received his Kyoshi from the Nishi Honganji. After receiving his Kyoshi, Reverend Kuniyuki served as an associate minister at Hawaii Betsuen in 1996, and in 1997, he served as resident minister for the four-temple council comprising Honomu, Honohina, Papaloa, Papaiko Honganjis. In 2002, he served as resident minister at the Wahiawa Honganji, and in 2012, he became the director at the Buddhist Study Center and Office of Buddhist Education until his retirement in 2021. Let's give a warm kona welcome to Reverend Kuniyuki.
Well, good morning, everyone. Let's see. So Joe, if we can bring up like I was telling the staff is that I'm very boring without my slides, so those are important. Yep. Okie dokie. Well, let me test this. So they said to point it at Joe, and let's see, does it change? Oh yeah, it does. Let's go backwards. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, got it. Okay, well, actually, this is a totally different presentation that I had originally planned when Reverend Blaine first asked me. Lucky you, because it's a little bit more lightweight. Sometimes I tend to be slightly a bit too scholarly sometimes, but hopefully you'll enjoy this presentation. Actually, 1.5 years, 1.5 weeks ago, my wife and I just returned from Korea. Yeah, and we have a friend that owns a travel agency, so they worked with my wife to make a custom-made tour for us. There's a little bit for her and a little bit for me. And what I mean is that it's for her, it's what? Korean drama places. Okay. I enjoy too, though. Yeah. And it's for me, it's the historic Buddhist sites and stuff like that, right? So that was a well-balanced presentation. Now, if you look at the screen there, yeah, we're at one of the famous Buddhist sites, which I will be going into more detail later. It's called Heinsa, yeah, and it's the Buddhist temple and repository for the most complete collection of Buddhist scriptures in the world. Yeah, in fact, it is recognized by UNESCO, as a historic heritage site. Yeah, and we'll be going more into that. I don't want to give too much too soon. Okay, it's like Korean drama, right? They kind of bait you on, right? So what's going to happen next, right? Okay, so let's go on. Now, to give you some, point at Joe, okay. There were, I too much. Oh, I can work with this anyway. Okay, so that's a map of Korea. Yeah. Now, if you're wondering, okay, the top dot is where Seoul is. Yeah, because for those of you who have been Korea, can kind of orient yourself. Down south, another place where a lot of tourists go is Busan, right? And the little island, yeah, to the right is Jeju Island. And just to kind of orient you. Yeah. Now, we went to a whole bunch of other places, but I don't want to. You know how sometimes your friends stick you with watching all their slides from strips, and after a while, it helps you to sleep that night. See, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna highlight everything for you. So, the 3 important places that we visited, well, was the National Museum of Korea in Seoul, and that's that blue dot on the top. Okay. Now, going down south, another blue dot, that's Heinsa Temple. That's where the almost complete Buddhist scriptures are stored. Yeah. And going a little bit up to the, what is this, kind of pinkish red, yeah, is Buyo. And it's the original site of the kingdom of Baekje, which I will kind of fill you in a little bit more later. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Point. And let's be patient and wait for the stuff to come. Okay. Oop. Oh, I see. Too long and too hard. Okay. So this is the National Museum of Korea. It's a wonderful site. Yeah. It has multi-level displays, yeah, of the history of Korea, the culture of Korea. Yeah, and special sections on Buddhism. In fact, okay, let me do this correctly. Okay, they're noted for the 2 statues of Bodhisattva Miroku. Yeah, and you might have seen, it's called the contemplative pose. Yeah, so they're national treasures. Yeah, and what's interesting is that in Japan, there's a statue very similar to that. Yeah? And it comes from Korea. And more on that later, guys. Okay. Okay, it worked. Oh, too bad. Yeah, I should have made it really big, but I couldn't. Yeah. This is I had to go there. You know why? This is a picture of Amida Buddha in the Pure Land expounding the Dharma. Yeah. It was made in about was it the 13th century? Yeah. But remember, that's not too old when you talk about Korea and China, because when you talk about Korea and China, you go to um, um, you know, the beginning of the counting of common time. Yeah. And then this is during the kind of same time as the kingdom of the Baekje, Koryo. And again, I won't go into too much gory detail. I don't want you to sleep, but they're beautiful statues. Guess what they're made of? Can you guess? You can throw it out at me. It's nothing remarkable, but iron. They're made of iron. Yeah, and it's a really, you're talking about hundreds of years ago, and they had developed the techniques to do these kind of things. Yeah. Okay, do it that way. Oh, shucks, it's so small. We were very lucky. Well, I was lucky. I don't know if my wife was lucky because she's stuck at a museum, right? but there was a special exhibition, a joint project between the National Museum of Korea and the New York Museum of Art. What they did is they combined the artwork from Buddhist stupas in India. I will be explaining that shortly, but they're stone structures that house the remains of the Buddha. And then they're scattered throughout India. Yeah, and they took all the artwork and put it together, borrowed it from museums throughout the world. Yeah, so it was for me a once in a lifetime experience. And my poor wife, but she was very patient. She actually acted like she was interested. Okay, okay, let's go on. Okay, shucks, yeah, it's hard to see. Now, this is an example of what is displayed there. Okay, the theme of the display is trees and snakes or serpents. And let's explain why. Okay, in the artwork expressed in those days in the stupas, you know, let me show you a little clarification here. Come on, where did I oh, there we go. You see the little circle? Yeah, that's the Bodhi tree. Yeah, and it shades the throne of the Buddha. Okay, let's go on. Okay, those are the serpents. Sorry, you know, if you can kind of look at it. They're kind of like they're cobras. There's a team of cobras. Now, in India, snakes are not a bad thing. Yeah, in the tradition of Indian Buddhism, okay, when the Buddha was meditating, and the serpent guard, understanding that the Buddha was doing something very significant, in other words, striving for enlightenment, when it rained or when it was too sunny, he would use his hood to shade the Buddha. Yeah, and it became a symbol of protection and protection of the Dharma. Okay, so let's go on. Now, in that little circle in the center, on the throne, sits an urn. And, wow, you know what a stupa is? It's to contain the ashes of the Buddha. Yeah? So there's that urn, and that is a reminder that the Buddha is present. And in the history of Buddhism, there was a time in which, the Buddha was such a great man throughout India, that all the kingdoms came together, after his death. And they decided, poor guy, his ashes got divided up. Okay, so his ashes got divided up all over India, and they were placed in stupa. Okay, so you begin to understand what a stupa is here. Let's see. Now, another thing is in the lower corner of the throne. It's hard to see, but there's a wheel. Now, you guys, longtime Buddhists, what's the significance of the wheel? What is the wheel? Yeah. The teachings. Yeah. And then in our tradition, as it has come to us, it has 8 spokes. Why? Eightfold path. Yeah. And in Indian tradition, the wheel represents action. Yeah. It represents something happening. Yeah. In Sanskrit, it's called chakra. Chakra. And does that sound familiar for those of you who went to Dharma school? Dharma chakra. Yeah. So that's how this tradition started. Yeah. So the Bodhi tree, the serpents, the presence of the Buddha, the Dharma chakra. Okay, so that's an example of a stupa. Actually, it's hard to imagine, but the stupa is this little bigger than the size of this building here. Yeah, and if you look at the picture, you notice this is in a circle. Yeah, and surrounding the main hall where the ashes are interred is a circular hallway. Okay, and those are where all the stone pictures are. So when one goes and visits and pays their respect to Buddha, they can see the story of Buddha. Okay, so what you were looking at before, that's one of the pillars. I hope you can see that. I can barely see it myself. Sorry. Let me see. Okay, so you know what happens here, guys, is that's the empty throne of the Buddha. Yep. There's no urn there. Right? There's the serpent, there's the Bodhi tree, right? And what it was is to remind everyone, that the Shakyamuni may be physically gone, but the presence of Buddha is still there. So the throne, the Bodhi trees, the protecting serpents, the guardian serpents remind you Buddha is still here. Another thing, that the wheel, the Dharma chakra, the teachings are here. The Buddha is here. Yeah? So can you imagine, somebody who pays their respects, maybe they start to understand, the Buddha body is not here, but the Buddha is here. The Buddha is here in the teachings. That's another example. What happened after a while is that the chakras became symbols for the Buddhists. And interesting, during that time period, no statues. I don't know if you folks realize that. So when Buddhists gather, they gathered before the throne of the Buddha, the Dharma chakra, the presence of the Buddha. Oh, this one is hard to see. And you know what's funny is that if you look real closely at it, what it is the feet of the Buddha. And I was telling my wife, oh, what's that? And she said, now, I'm the one that's supposed to be the Buddhist minister and all that, right? I said, what's that? And then we're looking and I said, well, I was just about to look at the, they have the information plaque. And he said, look, 10 toes. Okay. That's the feet of the Buddha. And what you'll notice that even if you ever visit temples in Japan, every so often you'll see the feet of the Buddha with all the significant marks. Because in the story of the Buddha had all the marks on his body of Dharma Chakravartin, yeah, of a great teacher. So what happened is over time, the stupa was the presence of the Buddha. Okay? And in China, they started to build pagodas, stone pagodas, right? And that's passed on to Korea. So, and then wooden pagodas. Now, why wooden pagodas? Because then they could make it bigger, more majestic. So, remember, the pagodas represent the Buddha. Yeah? So there's these massive structures that remind the followers that the Buddha is there, always there with you. Yeah? Of course, you know what happened also? Buddha statues. Yeah? So wherever you go, you have these immense statues. Yeah? Now, are there only to worship? Oh, Buddha, let me win at Las Vegas. No, not for Buddhists. Yeah. We derive our strength from the presence of the Buddha. The presence of the Buddha is manifest in the teachings. Okay? Wrong place. We said that here's the repository. Yeah? It's called Hinsa Temple. Let me catch up a little bit. Oh, yeah, me and my wife. Tourist pictures, right? Okay. So that is the repository. Can you see? It's called a library, but what it is a repository for wood block plates. And that really makes a whole lot of sense. So what happens is that if you need, the largest sutra can be found there. Okay, if you need the copies of the largest sutra, what do? Put ink on it, put paper on it, rub it down. There you go. Okay. And this was made in the 13th century, guys. Yeah. And it's amazing. The wood itself was treated for 2 years with a salt solution. It was carved out, yeah, and coated with a lacquer that insects hate. Yeah. The floor, the grounds, are treated with lime and salt, and guess what? Insects don't like that too. Yeah. And they selected the location where the humidity was just right. Can you imagine 13th century, the technology that they had to understand that? Even, you see there's like these rectangular, they're vents. They're to provide air circulation. So, can you see the wood block? And they're all filed away, in order. Okay, so the 13th century in the Goryeo dynasty, yeah, all this work was done for 14 years. And there we go, the monk with the wood block. And here's the thing. The Korean Buddhists weren't stingy with the Dharma. Yeah. Over a period of 20 years, they shared 45 complete sets of printed copies of the wood blocks with Japan. Yeah? And what resulted during the, what's it, 1915, Japan in turn converted all of those things to printed books, right? And in 2012, converted it to electronic media. Yeah. So thanks to the Buddhists in Korea and Japan, we have the scriptures in Chinese still with us. Okay, I'll quickly go through this. Okay, this is Buyo, which is the capital of the ancient city of Baekje. I can't read it. Okay, so Baekje, get this, existed from 18 BC, yeah, to 660 AD. Yeah. And there were Buddhists from that time. And they had their own stupas. And they developed, to time, all throughout Baekje, stupas all over the place. Eventually erecting wooden stupas. Or pagodas, I should say. So you see the development? So what is the pagoda now, guys? Is this a nice building? Come on, guys, I've been using that phrase. What is Dharma Chakra, the throne of the Buddha, the Bodhi tree, the pagoda? What is that? The presence of Buddha. It's to remind you that the presence of Buddha. Oh, I can't see it, but Buyo was, Baekje was also a seafaring nation, yeah, during that time. And one of the countries they contacted was Japan. Yeah. So what happened was that the king of Baekje sent a gift or gifts to Japan, the emperor of Japan. And guess what it was? Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the three treasures. So it was a Buddhist statue, yeah. And then the Dharma, which wasn't the complete collection, but it's the scrolls, yeah, of the sutras. And then he also sent priests to Japan. And that was the major introduction of Buddhism into Japan. And by the way, during that time period, Reverend Blaine and the board of directors have to be grateful to them. They put up a picture of Prince Shotoku. Yeah? He was instructed by a Korean monk, Buddhism, and he established Buddhism as the official religion of the Japan kingdom. Yeah? And that's why Shinran Shonin looked up to Shotoku Taishi. Another thing that went over to Japan was the technology, yeah, of making temples. Yeah. Has anybody visited Japanese or Korean temples? Anybody? I don't know if have you noticed the pigments, they last for a long time? Do you know why? They're made of actually ground up stone, yeah, and jewels. And that technology was shared with Japan. They built their temples, yeah, and even their government buildings. Here, okay, how many people have been to Nishihonganji? Oh, okay, good enough people, okay? Did you look at the artwork and stuff? Yeah, that's a heritage from Baekje. Yeah, all the technology, even the tile roofs, yeah, there's a transmission of not only the Dharma, yeah, but the technology. Okay, Oh, so they had a nice little lotus display at one of the museums. Took a picture of it. Yeah. So that's the end of the tour. But here's the thing I wanted to emphasize. The amazing thing about Buddhism, yeah, is that it's always with you. The teachings are with you if your mind is open enough. Okay? Shinran Shonin himself, although we have a beautiful statue and it's no problem, okay? It's a wonderful statue, sandalwood and with finely inlaid gold. Yeah? You guys are very lucky. Yeah. But for Shinran Shonin, he said the true Buddha is inconceivable. Yeah? But it doesn't mean inaccessible. True Buddha, the reason why it's inconceivable is that his presence is wondrous. It's always with you. Yeah? So to me, Shinran Shonin kind of went back to fundamentals again. Yeah? Don't get concerned about the presence of a person. Yeah? Because in your heart, the Buddha is with you. Yeah? The other thing that's amazing for me as a Shin Buddhist, yeah, is that because of Amida Buddha's vow to include everyone, yeah, all those who have passed before you, people who you have loved, where are they? You guys shy, yeah? The halfway answer is Pure Land. Yeah? But, Shinran said the Pure Land is empty. Why? Because they're Buddha now. And Buddhas don't stay still as long as there are people who are suffering and in need of guidance. Okay? So what happens is they return into our hearts to be there. Yeah? The presence of Buddha, in whatever way you relate to the Buddha, Amida Buddha, yeah, your family who has passed before you is here. Yeah. Along with the teachings, and it's the teachings that are our guide for living a full and wonderful life. Okay? So in conclusion, thank you for putting up with my travel log. And it's wonderful to visit you folks, and thank you for coming out. I just wanted to share with you, now that I'm retired, yeah, facing all kind of health challenges myself, and I was telling Reverend Blaine, the longer I live, the longer I experience life, the more I appreciate the Dharma, and the more the truth of the Dharma is affirmed in my life, always active in my life. And it allows me to appreciate that which is around me. Friends, family. Yeah. And assuming, you guys made manju or something together, right? That's manifesting Dharma too, is sharing your life together fully. Yeah. So, are we going to get together at all after this, or everybody going to take off? Okay, don't take off. If you're a good Buddhist and you want to behave like a good Buddhist, yeah, sharing your life fully together with your friends and family, with your fellow beings, is the act of a good Buddhist. Okay? So, thank you again, and I'll close this. Hey, it worked. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thank you, Alan. Yeah. You guys got me scared, Yeah, because I was telling, hey, without the slides, I'm even more boring. Yeah, okay, so it worked. Yeah. So, if you guys would, please join me with hands together and let us express our gratitude to Amida Buddha, that embodies all wisdom and compassion and the presence of all Buddhas in our lives. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam. Thank you folks very much.
Thank you, Reverend Kuniyuki, and for sharing your mini Korean tour with us. Jules Dudois will now lead us in unison reading of Eightfold Path to Happiness. Words can be found on the handout and on the screen. Please join him in reciting the words out loud.
おはようございます and aloha. That was a powerful speech. And this is our response. Everybody got your paper? You notice right down on the bottom it says all. And the first two words, I'll say that. You say the rest. Okay, we'll go right down. Okay? Everybody got the paper? Here we go. The teachings of Buddha help us understand the oneness of all life. To lead us in the right direction, the Buddha provides us with an eightfold path, the right views, the right thoughts, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood to teach, right energy, right mindfulness, right mediation, may the presence of the Buddha, who said to the world, live in his teachings, be our guide. May we follow this path until we too realize nirvana. Amen.
Thank you, Jules. We will now have the offertory presentation. Please stand as we conclude this service with singing of the Gatha Nembutsu.
Namo Namanda, 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 Namanda.
You may be seated. This concludes today's service celebrating Shakyamuni Buddha's birth. Here are some announcements, upcoming services, events, and reminders. Regular Dharma family services will be held for the next 3 Sundays, April 14th, 21st, and 28th. Minister's Assistant Linda Nagai will share a Dharma message on April 21st. All services will begin at 10 a.m. Sunday, May 5th, we will celebrate Children's Day and Mother's Day. Guest speaker will be Mrs. Debbie Kubota from Hawaii Betsuin. Minister's Assistant Linda Nagai will officiate this service. Baccalaureate service will be held on Sunday, May 12th. If you have a child or grandchild that will be graduating or who has graduated from high school, college, and professional or vocational school in 2024, please let the temple office know by April 30th so we can recognize them at this service. This year, we will be celebrating the 850th anniversary of Shinran Shonin's birth, the 800th anniversary of the establishment of the Jodo Shinshu teaching, and the 135th anniversary of the Hompa Honganji mission of Hawaii. This triple celebration event will be held September 7th through 8th, 2024 at the Ala Moana Hotel. It will include a keynote address by Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyagi, workshops, services, and a luncheon. All Sangha members are welcome to attend. Early registration has been extended to April 30th. Headquarters will subsidize $200 for Neighbor Island attendees. If you are interested, please click on the link included in Reverend Blaine's weekly update email. As a reminder, please be sure to open, read, and click on attachments and interesting links that were included with Reverend Blaine's weekly update, which he emailed this past Friday. The interesting attachments include information on Buddhist education, Kodomo no Hi, YESS camp, scholarships for graduates, the triple celebration, and sharing of Nembutsu moments. Any other announcements?
We're so happy this morning that we have many guests who have chosen to attend our Hanamasturi service this morning. And we have guests attending from Seattle Betsuing, the family of Haru and Mark Hiroda and their daughter Misa. Stand to be recognized. And Stephanie Thomas and her daughter Marin from Makawao Honganji on Maui. And we also had Calvin and Yvette Terada and their daughter Kaya and Nathan, who were here but had to leave early because they needed to catch a flight back to Seattle. So let's give them a nice warm welcome to Kona Honganji. And also our Sangha friends visiting from Kamuela Honganji, Joy Ota and Margie Kaiser. Stand to be recognized. And of course, Jimmy Nakagawa's grandson, Koa. Thank you all for choosing to join us at this Hanamatsuri celebration.
Thank you, Betty. Any other announcement, Sensei?
Again, just a big mahalo to everybody who came out yesterday, who made Manju together. It really, as Reverend Kevin mentioned, when we work together and share in our lives together, that is the living Dharma. And the way that we inhabit this world and are in this world is the living Dharma that is shared and continues the teachings of the Buddha. Many of us are often asked, oh, where's Shakyamuni Buddha, right, in our altar, because we enshrine Amida Buddha here in our central altar here. But Shakyamuni is also present here. You see these scrolls here. These are the sutras, the Pure Land Sutras that this school is based on. And Shakyamuni is present in his teachings. And the sutras represent the words and the teachings of the Buddha. So Shakyamuni is also here. in our Buddha. We don't just recognize Shakyamuni during Hanamatsuri or Bodhi Day or Nirvana Day, but Shakyamuni is always present here in us as we journey day by day. So again, thank you for joining us on this beautiful day to celebrate the birth of Shakyamuni Buddha. And let's enjoy this time together in fellowship, living the teachings together. Mahalo.
Thank you, Reverend Blaine. Once again, mahalo to Reverend Kuniyuki for flying over from Oahu to be our guest speaker. Those of you on Zoom, you may leave at any time. Those of you here in person, please join us for refreshments in the social hall. A big mahalo to the Dharma School families and BWA members for providing today's refreshments, which includes a birthday cake created by Alexis Fujikawa, granddaughter of June Fujikawa. Thank you, Alexis. Also, a big thank you to everyone who came out yesterday to help with the manju making. Because of their talented hands, you will be able to enjoy our BWA signature manju today, and you'll have some to take home with you. Thanks to Morris Nagata and Linda Nagai, you will also be able to take home some dried persimmons, hoshigaki, to enjoy, and a huge mahalo to Tiffany Kaneko for goodies she has provided. Last but not least, we'd like to thank Elaine Sugiyama, Nathan and Cheryl Kurashige, Pauline Oshiro, and Susan Miyashita for decorating our Hanamido for today. And this beautiful creation couldn't have been possible without your generous donations of the beautiful flowers and foliage. Your attendance today is most sincerely appreciated. Please stay safe, and we hope to see you at future services. Thank you.
Namandas, 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 namandas.